Hello, this is my presentation on Growing Up Global, the cultural identity of third culture kids. There is a growing population, approximated at 4 million in 2007, of people that grew up overseas, away from their passport country, away from their extended family, immersed in cultures that to many seem too foreign to even imagine. Many move pretty consistently through childhood, and going back to their parents' country of citizenship is a fun holiday taken once a year. Like all people, third culture kids are constantly searching for a cultural identity, which, when you grow up immersed in a myriad of cultures, can be difficult. This diagram accurately shows the meaning of third culture in the term third culture kid. As Dr. Kaysen explains, the third culture is not an integration of the parents' culture and that of residents, but rather a unique and messy conglomeration of all of the cultures that the individual experienced in a significant way. My husband and I are both third culture kids, but we are so different in our experiences. My husband, an American by birth, was born in Manila, Philippines. He lived there for a while, then moved to Vanuatu, back to the Philippines, Singapore, Australia, and then to the USA for college. His parents worked for the Asian Development Bank and private business. I was born in Hawaii, then moved to Singapore when I was 4. My parents and 2 younger sisters are still there. My parents worked in the fashion and commercial industry. We didn't so much move as we did immigrate. We became Singaporean permanent residents. My sisters and I went to public school, and all 3 of us speak Mandarin. However, I still identify with being a third culture kid as much as my husband does. I am not Singaporean. I do not feel at home in America. Like many third culture kids, I consider the entire globe to be my home. A child's manner of exposure to different cultures and living internationally plays a huge role in how their experiences manifest into their own personal cultural identity. Military children usually spend most of their time on the base which they live at, which is often far away from anything else. They usually attend an international school, but go from the base to school and back. There are exceptions, of course, but in general, military kids fraternize with other military kids. This is the most well-known of the reasons for living an international life. Many people, when they hear I was raised overseas, immediately ask if my parents were in the military, which they were not. For children whose parents work in the non-military areas of the government, the amount of interaction they have with locals as well as other people from their passport country varies from parent to parent. The non-military area of the government are usually diplomats. Of all of the types of third culture kids, this group interacts and integrates most with the local population and least with people from their own passport country. And missionary parents are likely to have an advanced degree, with 83% of religious and missionary parents holding such a qualification. Also, in many of the religious and missionary international homes, the children are homeschooled by their parents. For children whose parents live overseas due to business, there are high levels of interaction between the local population as well as with people from their own passport country. For others, now this includes a huge plethora of different jobs, from the media to construction workers, doctors, chefs. It's all across the board. Their involvement in local culture and the culture of their passport country can vary greatly depending on the parents and their values. Growing up as a third culture kid personally, I can say with certainty that there are many benefits to being raised this way. A keen global awareness is something that is instilled in a person when they are in cultures that are different from their own the majority of the time. Growing up internationally also teaches young people how to cope with saying goodbye at a young age and understanding that many goodbyes are not forever. These benefits stay with a person for the duration of their lifetime and often wield a strong influence over many decisions a person will make. Unfortunately, there are also disadvantages. When you spend so much of your life overseas, you are bound to become more sensitive to cultural similarities and differences. Third culture kids often have the hardest time identifying with people that are from the same country as their home country, um, which we refer to as the country of your passport. Many third culture kids go back to their passport country for university, or they move back when their parents' contracts are over. After having lived in so many different cultures, it would seem surprising that they feel any culture shock, but for many third culture kids, the most profound sense of culture shock is felt when returning to their home or passport country. For many people, their sense of home and what it represents provides stability and comfort. For third culture kids, this sense of home is non existent, and coming to terms with that psychologically can be very difficult. For some, this creates a pathway to either accepting that the world and anywhere on it is home, or it builds an insatiable wanderlust, almost like an endless search for a home that doesn't exist. Creating a stable cultural identity when one is exposed to such a myriad of diverse cultures can be difficult. There is quite a bit of research that has found that people that grow up as third culture kids tend to continue living international lifestyles as adults. Many third culture kids build their cultural identity upon the third, often invisible culture that they have created with the rest of their international nomadic peers. Sociologist Dr. Rachel May Kaysen oriented TCKs as cosmopolitans rooted in the expatriate communities of their childhoods, continuing in mobility and self conscious otherness into adulthood and moving through place as elite vagrants. I leave you with this quote: "The concept of cultural identity and all that it entails is evolving. It changes with each person that becomes a global citizen instead of being confined to one place. While the transition may not be without its bumps in the road, it is a necessary and beneficial one. The more we identify with one another, the smaller the world becomes. By being raised and raising our children in as international a manner as possible, we are changing the cultural identity of humans as a species." Thank you very much.